Good afternoon, all. Welcome to the final day session. Thank you all for joining us today, and it's wonderful to see how in the last 4 days uh, the count, the attendees count hasn't changed. I have attended several offline, online workshop sessions. First day we all joined very enthusiastically, and the last day will be like the comments that you are sharing on the feedback form. So today, strategy for practical courses. So I have been teaching for 20 years in media department, and even till today, it is something that is challenging, something that puts me to test every time, how good I am as a lecturer or in the lecture room as a facilitator. Um, Sometimes we prepare a lot and go, and then we realize that it doesn't work. Sometimes, you know, something at the last moment, we thought of, executing and worked very well. So it's very important, especially for media studies, developing pedagogies for the practical courses. And, you know, 2 days back we saw why it's important to, develop a pedagogy or engaging uh, lectures for theoretical courses. Same way, it is very important, very crucial.
Art professional with India. Graduated, she started her career in arts as an assistant art director and raised up to become one of the few female art directors in the Tamil film industry. Having done a few feature films and multiple TVs, she successfully transitioned her skills to the field of education. In 2015, she started teaching visual arts, following the international baccalaureate curriculum. She had taken up leadership roles in the facilitators to deliver the subject with new teaching strategies that prepare students for the future work with a holistic approach. Few of the leadership roles include approaches to learning coordinator, personal projects coordinator, and an arts examiner for the South Asia Pacific zone. Demonstrating her expertise in assessing student art projects and curating art projects for the school community and global art network. Her artistic range includes mural art, installations, miniature model making, interior designing, and event management. The unique blend of industry experience and educational expertise led to educate students and art directions and let the students explore different artistic professions. We heartily welcome you, ma'am. This is your time. Kindly help us to learn about the more about art, and we are also happy to have you on these final day sessions. Most welcome, ma'am.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for welcoming me for this wonderful opportunity. Um, this is going to be a very interactive, opportunity for all of us to go forward. During this session, I would like for all of us to participate, interact, and I'm sure this is going to be the last one for the week, and it's going to be like weekend one, so I don't want to take much of your time. Um, this exact particular session is to understand as to how art and also design can be taught in the most innovative format, or how we need to understand the students moving forward, or in terms of also expecting the type of students that we might have in our college. So, getting into the session, let me just share my screen. Is the screen visible? If you one can give me thumbs up, yes. Cool. So, as the topic goes, developing pedagogy for practical courses such as design and fine arts. As faculty members, we all have been there, understanding how to, in terms of like developing the program as such, for the students to be more interested in the topic. So, we do have students who might not be much interested in art and design. We will have a lot of like students who are experts in it already. We might have students who are just like beginners in the same field. So this presentation will take you through a short program as to how we can organize our planning and also teaching methodologies within our classrooms. All right. So what are we going to do today? So we are going to look into approaches to teaching and learning strategies. How does a student-centered classroom look like? Assessments for learning and community and connection. Then we'll have a short time where you can ask any questions that you have moving forward. Um, a few expectations from this time that I'm going to share with you guys. Um, in this next 40 or 45 minutes, we need to be interactive. We can share our knowledge. We need a lot of participation from you as well as from my side. If you want me to be a little slow, more audible, you are always free to let me know that. What do you think are the biggest challenges as teachers or faculties that we face today? You can use a chat box to answer the same. Except for time, we don't have much time. We have a lot of time to travel to our institutions. And apart from these two, are there any other challenges that we face today? Let me open my chat box. I'm going to write my own challenge first so that you all can add on. For practical courses or any subject that we handle in terms of media studies, what are the biggest challenge that we have? I'm going to add mine as well. I already see Mr. Prabhu, changing generation, less aptitude for learning, poor attention span. Not listening, okay. Not having interest to write, basic respect for teachers and very less attention to subject. Students feeling entitled, meeting the varied needs of students from different backgrounds and abilities requires ongoing training and resources. Attention lack, keeping students engaged for 50 minutes or more than that. Okay. Teachers often juggle administrative tasks, lesson planning, grading, leading to high stress. General lack of respect for teaching as a profession. Okay, you can keep adding your challenges. I'm going to address it one by one by whatever I have understood in this journey of 10 years to share it with you all. Insta generation, everything needs instant. Right. So we have different set of students instant, and having students from different backgrounds can be different financial backgrounds, different emotional backgrounds, as well as students who are not much interested in certain areas of like the college or even schools for that matter. So for attention, yes, they get all the information needed online. Yes, having AI and ChatGPT coming in, I think we all are in a place where we need to adapt, right? So we have students from everything that you all have like mentioned in the chat box. We see them at school, and when these students from school move out to college, so let's say in the next 5 years you can expect the students who are much more challenging to handle than how they are right now, right? So my biggest challenge, before I could chat down there, my biggest challenge that I feel as a teacher is, um, I have to be really equipped, or I have to be really updated as to what all new technology or like strategies coming up in the field of teaching. So finding new topics are available on Google, but finding new in terms of like methodologies to be taught. How do we make innovative planning for our everyday lessons? So that is my biggest challenge. I've been working on it, and definitely one day we all will be there. I'm going to share whatever I've been doing, and you can take whatever learning you want from this entire time. And I also would like to take a lot of learning from each one of you. So, moving forward to the next one. First, we move into approaches to teaching and learning. As faculty members, when we have, let's say there are 50 of us in the class, I think at an average, for a first year, we have around 40 to 60 students in a class. Keeping that in mind, we have a lot of students coming from different groups, right? Then what are we doing for us to understand about the students' ability to understand something? So are we having any in terms of like prior assessments? Do we like make an effort to understand what the students already know? If we are not doing all these days, I think we need to plan for something where we can understand the students. Like as I said, when it comes to art and design, we might not have all the students in the same phase, right? We might have students in the expert level. We might have students who are in between, let's say, like intermediate. We might have students who are just somewhere, they just know about art, but they might not be able to draw a straight line even after using a scale. Let's say we have students of only three different categories. What are we going to do to understand them? So if we have to understand them, I think then we need to work on the prior learning assessments, and also try and understand the students, what are the social and emotional learning scenarios that we are going to make in our classroom. So are we going to plan for a class where we as like faculty members are there in like talking all the time? So when we allow the students to participate more, or when we also have a place where the students can actually share what is there in their mind, then we will be able to understand the students. In fact, like we can say a kind of a lot more deeper about the students. And the third one is something very, very important. Uh, our classrooms or our teaching should definitely be concept driven and not only content driven. I'm sure this word is going to stay with you forever, because at this time in the 21st century, right now, where we are, our entire classes should be planned based only on concepts. Even if we are going to teach, let's say we need to talk about art and design principles. One thing I did in my class with a grade 10 student is I need to, like introduce them to the students, and just not board and saying that okay, we have art elements which is going to be line, shape, color, texture. We might not even have going to be line, shape, color, texture. We might not even have students who will know what is a line, or how do we like go forward with the word, or like element line. So you can use music or some your own like artworks, your own a kind of like designs that you guys have made before, probably using your experience or your outcome of works, just to show them, probably that can like engage them to understand the concept better. And at present there are five major skills that we as faculty members as well as the students should definitely become expert in. I have listed the five here. The first one is communication. second is self management, third is social, fourth is research, and the last one is thinking. If I have to give examples under each one of them, let's talk about thinking skills. When it comes to like thinking, it cannot be only like creative thinking, but as artists and like designers, I think the students should also be very kind of like critical in their work, right? So when I talk about thinking, it can be both. It can be like innovative thinking, it can be critical thinking, and should also be uh, in terms of like transferring your skills to the other set of work. So all these three might just like come under that. In the chat box, I'm going to mention what all can be under these skills. So under communication, it can stay as communication. Then under self management, it can be organization skills, it can be time management. um, Even the participants can add on if you feel that these can also come under self management skills that you think, you can add on those to the chat box. So I've added communication, organization, time management. If there is anything that you think that can come under self management, you can please go ahead and add it there. Under social skill, there's collaboration. Under research, again, when it comes to research, it can be information literacy and media literacy. Self reflection, yes. Introspection, self management. Thank you, ma'am. Emotional regulation, very good. Then, under research, I've added information and media literacy. If you have anything that can go under that, goal setting, yes. There's one main thing that I'm looking for, discipline, very good. Participants can take a few more seconds to fill in. Communication skill, that is one of the major 5 skills. Yes. Okay, now let's just compare what is there in the chat box that we added before. So there's a lot of comments that mentions about being relevant to industry and technology, easily getting bored, lack of seriousness, um, poor attention. Okay, let's add all of these under one of this skill, which is self management, one of the major skill. I'm keeping it in caps on the chat box, which is effective skills. How many of us focus on this in our classroom? Effective skills. We go to class, we teach, we be there with the students for 40 minutes or 50 minutes. How are we empathetic towards them? Or do we know that each one of them are going to be from a kind of like different background? And are we being able to understand them in a way where we can plan our own lessons according to their ability to understand something? So effective skills is something very alarming that we need to be focused. uh, Thank you. Happy sunlight. Thank you. So, effective skills is something, one of the most important skills that we as faculty members should be focusing on in this particular ever changing, like environment where we are at present right now. Now, there's a small task I want you guys to fully participate in. I think there are around 34 participants. I'd be more happy if I get 25 plus answers to the next slide. So there's going to be a Padlet that I'm sharing with you. There are 3 questions put up. There's a QR code. You can scan it, open on your phone, and work on the Padlet. The first question is, when was the last time you explicitly taught a skill? The skills that we just discussed. Keeping that in mind, look into what did you do in your previous class? Anytime. It can be very recent or it can be sometime long back that you worked on. When was the last time you explicitly taught one of this particular skill, or you were also very focused on skill development than just like teaching what is given to you as a syllabus? So why did you do it? How well do you think your students have understood to use the skill? So you can go in and add your opinion or your answers to these questions to the Padlet link. I will share the link once again to the chat box. Okay, I'm adding the link to the chat box just in case if you want to open it from the chat box and work on it. Uh, okay, MKGK, you can unmute yourself if you want to share something. I see your hands raised.
If anyone got any queries, please do unmute and share your thoughts. Okay.
All right. So I have the Padlet open here. You can click on this icon and add your responses. I'll add mine first so that you all can join in. This task is for the next 3 minutes, so you can quickly add in your uh, ideas or practices that you did in the class. Photography for a workshop, got a good response from the attendees. Can we focus on these 5 major skills and then mention what skill did you address in class? I know we all have been teaching different topics. We are all in different page when it comes to the class, but just focus on the 5 skills that are mentioned here. What is something that you have taught them in the class or how they have taken back their learning? Participation learning, industrial visit. I've added mine here. Affective skills. We worked on neurographic art, which works on stress relief and body mind connection. So, likewise, if you can mention the skill and what you did for that particular skill, and what is the idea of group presentation, communication skills, very good. Chinese whispers to understand perception variation among the participants of communication. This reminds me of my childhood. To develop news content from their own community. MEC 8. Few more. I have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven of us in this group. So I'm not going to count these eight. Okay, let me add one more. Scriptwriting class taught students how to do scene division. Very good. Alumni workshops to connect with the students so they will have better understanding. Very good. Which involves a lot of collaboration skill and communication skill. I asked one student to play guitar and sing quietly. The rest of the class was drawing. This set a pleasant mood for the entire class to sing with one tune and focus. They were so quiet and attentive in their artwork. As a teacher, the experience was so refreshing. Absolutely, because music and visual arts, which is performing arts and visual arts, go hand in hand. Art and design go hand in hand, and definitely music plays a major role in, like aiding a um, better classroom scenario for the students to be focused, which is a very good practice, sir. Thank you. Active listening, clear expression of ideas and teamwork, engage in for your fellow participant. You can go through each each information that is added to the Padlet, and you can give one positive feedback and one critical feedback for us to improve the same or what we can do much better. I'm going to give it to Mr. Prabhu for the video image analysis, thinking skills, tribal area visit. I'm going to give a comment here. So likewise, you all can choose which one you want to give a comment on. One positive feedback and one critical feedback for them to go forward and work. Let us be very specific as to what we can do better in this if you were able to do that. For example, uh, if I'm going to take an example of Mr. Jessley, where the student was asked to play guitar in class and the students were working, then probably what I would have done is for example, if I have to be in the class and I'm going to do this task in my class, then I might have a song being played in the class where even the one who's playing guitar could also participate in the class to do art. So that one particular student will not be like left out in class. So this is something that I can focus on, or probably I can ask that one student to share his like music with us in the class, and all of us can just like listen to the work, and we all will be doing the same project at the same time. So one student will not be like left out in the class. So likewise, give one appreciation and one feedback to work on. I've given one comment to Mr. Learn with Jessley, and I'm going to add one more to practice it in another different way. Um, I've added one more comment: create art with the flow of music, uh, which is where there'll be music in class and students will free flowingly work on artworks that is going to be like a representation of any sound that they're able to understand from the song. It can be a beat or a tempo or a kind of like rhythm that they can pick up. So that it can be another activity. Alumni workshops to connect with the students so they will have better understanding. Probably here I'm going to add one more. Um, I'm sure the alumni workshop will be a place where the students are able to understand where all their like seniors are from or like what they are going to like bring into the class, but at the same time also having peer groups to share knowledge and support each other during the learning could be something that can be an end product of that particular alumni meet. Encourage students to compile their work in a portfolio to showcase their skills and creativity. It's a very good practice. We do that even at a school level. I'm going to show you some samples of my own students' portfolio for your reference. And you can see that if the students are doing that in a school-based learning, then moving forward, if we expect all these students to go forward to college, and as faculty member, in terms of like faculty members, what are we going to do for them? This is tribal visit. This is really appreciative to check their authentic life through analysis. Analysis is a strong word where students get to analyze the tribe, um, probably their like way of living, where we also talk about development communication, which is one of the session that happened yesterday, to develop news content from their own community, making connections to community connection, right? Okay, we'll move forward from here. You can keep adding your comments. This Padlet will be open. Anyone with the link can access. You can always go back to this link and you can have a reference of this moving forward with your teaching. The next slide. Here. All right, we finished this. We are coming to one of the most important focus from this class that we are going to have right now, where it is student-centered classroom and what does it look like. I've been using a lot of words where keeping the student in the first place. I've been adding a lot of words in terms of having the students as a in terms of like focal point, right? So having the students in the first place, what does a student-centered classroom look like? There's another Padlet. It can be tiring, but please go in and add your understanding or your idea of what a student-centered classroom might look like. If you have already practiced, add in your thoughts. If you would just understand from this, like if you just feel that to my understanding, if my students are going to be the focal point in my class, how does it going to look like? Second Padlet, yes, definitely. I'm going to share the link here. Yes. So you can open the Padlet and please type out what is your understanding or your thoughts on student-centered classroom? Do you think such classrooms can be effective in a college scenario, be it first year, second year, or final years? How is that going to work when it comes to art and design, even any other subject in terms of media studies? I'll add mine. Also, if anyone wants to share something, you can unmute your mic and talk. If you're not comfortable typing, you can unmute and talk. I know two languages, English, Tamil. Others, no. Telugu, a little bit. If you have participants from different places, and if you would like to, if you want to share your ideas in your like mother tongue, you're free to go. I really like what the participant name RM. A student feels respected, they feel like they can breathe, they feel like their opinions matter and that they have space to grow. This is the attitude the student should be carrying in the classroom. Once they understand that the teacher is a place where they can always go and ask their any kind of like burning questions that they have. We all have a lot of questions. We all have like studied in a school where our ideas are not being like it was not acknowledged. We were not allowed to ask any questions. We cannot talk what we feel, but I don't think at present we have a kind of like space like that. We are free to talk, we are free to express, we are free to ask any kind of like burning questions in between the class if we have any. right? So when we have a safe space for the students in class, that is where we see a lot of students expressing themselves. And when it comes to art and design, it is a it is a kind of like completely free form of expression, where you can see that students express their own self much like better through art, even if they're not very, like in terms of being open about it, talking about it. Their artwork speaks a lot, and we have a lot of students who are really expert in that. We should be able to identify them. And when we focus on students being the center of our class, that is when we also have the idea of planning something very creative for the students to work on in the classroom. When we have a 50-minute slot, let's say the first 10 minutes is for us to like settle down the class, and then another 20 minutes of what our kind of like topic is going to be for the day. And instead of us being the place where we just give information on and on and on about what we know, and then the last 20 minutes we don't know what to be doing in the class, right? So instead we can have some activities which can be in terms of like hands-on. It can be a 5 to 10 minutes video that can be like played for the students, and we can ask the students to observe as to like what they see from the work. So these are few that can add on. There's one more comment. When we were training a skill set like video editing, the university or college syllabi can provide an outline. However, it can be the center of our teaching. The, the attitude and aptitude of each student towards the course differs 100%. Therefore, it is important to take the course forward considering all the students in mind, which is 100% right. As teachers, I mean, as teachers and faculty members, we need to first understand where we can have a common understanding of students, and where we need to have a type of like differentiated task for the student. And in a school scenario, for us, we have students coming from like different levels, where we have students who are autistic, we have students who are physically challenged, we have students who are also hyperactive, we have students who are very passive in class. So when we have all of them in the class, how are we going to be able to, like make them understand the same topic or a kind of concept? If I'm going to talk about change, how am I going to ensure that all the four students understand what is change? And how can I do it with art? I will just give an example. I I came across one of the articles recently where there's a student who wanted to talk about change in community. Now, for us, community can be uh, in terms of culture, in terms of food, in terms of practices, in terms of like lifestyle. But according to that particular student, for the student of the age group I'm talking about is 16. Okay, so for a 16 for a one student who is 16-year-old, they think for them in terms of community means probably 4 or 5 friends. For them, school itself is one. So, what kind of changes can they bring to the school was their idea in terms of changing a community. But when it comes to students of us, if we have to see age group from 18 to 2021, or sometimes 23, 24, then what kind of change will they be able to understand, or what is their understanding of change? So, if you're going to talk about art and aesthetics in terms of like graphic design, it need not be only about art elements and principles. It need not be only about like font styles and font design, but it can be about like printmaking techniques. It can be about how each font size can be used for expressing different emotion. So there you are in a place where you can like introduce a concept of change, or you can introduce a concept of like transfer. So if you're going to focus only on in terms of like font styles, that might not be able to like help the student. But you can also introduce them to how whatever we are there in the class to learn can be, like taken forward. So that is one thing that we could do. And the next one, I see one more comment. Yeah, it's the same participant, RM. It is drawing a pink sky is a sign of a student-centered classroom. I'm understanding from this, it means the students, everyone should have a freedom of expression. If that is what it is, you can just give a thumbs up. I understand that if a student can paint a sky in pink, I take it as the student should have a standard of kind of freedom of expression, right? And there's another one, unique attention can be given and focused well. This can be done after class. This can be done within the class. This can also be done during breaks. And there might be students who will be very shy. They might not like talk to us. They might be very intimidated by our presence. There might be students who are very friendly. Now, how do we use the students who are very friendly to make the other student understand the concept? So that's where you introduce peer learning. So this is one that we can practice in class. I'm sure we all have been doing this, but this is something that we can take away from this. And moving into some detail as to what a student-centered classroom might look like. Might Yeah. So going forward from here, what are the activities that we can do in a classroom? I have given 6 examples, but you can also quickly add on if you have any others in the chat box. One is project-based learning, where you assign the projects for the students. Second is critique and peer reviews, where you can allow the students to give feedback to each other in the class than you alone giving the feedback. You can have flexible assignments, where you give an option for the students to choose a theme or a medium that is to their personal interest. You can have sketchbooks and journal, where you encourage the students to have art journals in the class. As one of you mentioned in the chat box, as to field trips and gallery visit, you can take the students to museums or art galleries, studios, any film shoots or ad shoots, you can always take them. And the last one is interdisciplinary collaboration, which is very, very important, where you encourage the students to incorporate the elements of design, technology, and history through their projects. So these are few that I wanted to add on here. If you have anything to share, you can always add it in the chat box. And we are moving forward to the next one. Short of time, we'll make it quick. Uh, the next one is assessment for learning. When I was in college, and I think even at present, we do have the same format where it is internal assessment. We have an external exam. So, are we having any assessments for learning, like for them to be able to do something better? Are we having any assessments for learning in our classroom? Like, let's say there's going to be a kind of exam for 40 marks. Then what are the kind of activities do we do in the class? So I have added a few short-term goals as projects, encourage risk taking, process focused task. There's one that is in blue, which is teacher as a facilitator and not just be, like teaching whatever information that we have. But if we can also encourage them in terms of their interest, where we act as a facilitator and not just a teacher, then we can have formative assessments. We can have portfolio as a learning tool. We can have a thematic reflection, a conceptual journal, and a structured critic. And it all sums up to something called as failing well. Are we allowing the students to fail well? When we say they're going to be a kind of like pass mark or something like they are in like under the scale of any set marks, like say internal assessment, they have to have 20 as a minimum. If it's external, they should have 35 as a minimum. So if we have such things, even before they go and like appear for such exams, are we allowing them to fail well? This is a kind of like question I just encourage you guys to like take back after this this meet. Do we allow the students to fail well in the class? If they make any kind of mistakes, are we able to like give them feedback for them to do something better from there? Are we allowing them to fail well? So this is a question that you can take away from this session, and you don't have to answer that. You can personally reflect on it, and you can make your changes to your planners in your classrooms as per the need. um, the last one is connections to real world and personal life. Are we bringing in our personal life scenarios to the classroom as teachers, or in terms of like faculty members? um, us being there in the classroom just with information in our like notebooks or like gadgets, are we giving examples as to what we have been or we have been able to like do earlier, or is it something that we also need to work on? So keeping this in mind, I have few sample works of my own students in terms of art journal, in terms of portfolio, in terms of their projects that I would like to quickly show. You can take pictures from the screen if you want, because this is something that will not be shared with you. It's a kind of like confidential work. I cannot be sharing it to other participants, but I'm even more than happy to share from my system that I have here. It's in folder. Okay, this one is a folder. I can just share the screen. Yes. We can start with this. Entire screen is my screen visible? Yes. So this is a journal of a grade 6 student, which is the age group of 12. The only reason why I'm showing this is for you to understand the next 5 6 years, we might have these students coming into college. So, are we prepared for such students? Are we in a place where we can plan for things for the students? So, this is a unit on identity, style, and interpretation. So, the idea behind this unit is where you can see the inquiry questions mentioned here. What role does audience perception play in shaping the identity as an artist? Conceptual questions. We can take the second one, or we can take the third one. How to change an artist's personal life or experience reflect in their evolving artistic identity? You can expect a grade 6 student being able to inquire on such topics. Moving forward in the next 5 10 years, we'll have students with the same kind of like mindset coming out, and students are being introduced about art elements and principles in a very young age. They know what it is, they know how to be like using it in the class. You're free to click pictures of the screen, you can take screenshots, but please do not share it anywhere. You can keep it for your personal use. The students are making mind map. The students are understanding about different artists that the teachers are in a place to like share their understanding about different art movements and styles. So they take notes in their journal. This is one of the journals of the student. So we introduce artists from different time period. And moving on, there's a task in this unit where, if you remember the unit, here you can see the concept is style and interpretation. So we introduce them to one point perspective in class. Basically, I introduced them to like one point perspective in class. And the students were given example of the Last Supper. So based on the style as a concept, the students were asked to make their own painting of Last Supper in their own style. Keeping the concept of style, the student created an image of Last Supper with the anime characters. Now, we are in the field of art and design where we will have a lot of controversies coming after this, right? So, one such challenge that I faced in my place of work is there were a few teachers or students who were offended that this is not you can do to like Last Supper painting, it is not good, it might offend my personal beliefs. And we do have to, like deal it in an artistic way. Now we are in the world where everything is evolving, everything is changing, everyone's idea is changing. This is purely only a work of art, and this is not to offend anyone's personal belief, right? So keeping this learning in mind, where as a teacher I give them one example, they do one in their style, and moving forward they should be in a place to make their own draft of work. So because the student is interested in anime, you can see a character of anime here, and understanding of one point perspective, the student created this particular sketch. And the student has also given a detailed reflection and evaluation of their work, and also created one other perspective drawing of a car or a motorsport car in using three different mediums. So this is just one example. I am coming back to answer a question in the meeting. This one, right? Yeah. I saw that someone was raising their hand. Any question? Shobin or something. The name is. Anyone wants to ask something? You want to talk something? Shobin Matthew.
You can unmute and share your thoughts, queries. Okay, if none, we'll proceed.
Okay, we'll continue with this. All right. So this is another example. Yeah. This is an example. Is it visible to all of you? Yeah. So this is another example of a grade 10 student's work. So grade 10 students in our curriculum are under the age of grades, age 16 and 17. Sorry, they're in 15 and 16 category. Now the students will investigate on the topic that's given. So in this case, the topic is the art of connection. So from grade 6 to grade 10, the students will actually learn about different art movements and artists and their work. So you can see that this is a proper investigation, investigative task of a student. Screenshots, pictures, any references that you want. So if you notice, the student has just like reflected what is the art of connection in the first slide. The second one is talking about a different art movement the student is inspired about, which is Salvador Dali's time period of surrealism, right? So moving forward, there's Frida Kahlo. There is, there is a reference to surrealism, a digital art. There is also another work where the student is talking about communication and narrative here. So I'm quickly switching to different slides. The student is talking about symbolism, materials and techniques, processes, mood, atmosphere, and environment. You can also see that the student is also making a art critique, which means the student is analyzing an artist and their work. So they formally analyze based on the art elements, right? So this is only the investigative task. There is another quick skim through how the same student worked on making their own artistic intention, keeping the idea of art and its personal connection. So the student is able to create an artistic intention where the student develops an idea, taking pictures of filmic reference. This is all I'm talking about in grade 10. Grade 9 and 10, they work on this. So based on the skills and techniques that they have acquired in the previous grades, they develop applying those acquired knowledge through their class or their in terms of like exploring different art mediums. They also experiment with it. They create a close-up image or a portion of their final painting. You can see that this is a final painting where I'm keeping my cursor at, and this is one example of the same, and this is the final piece the student has created. This is the final painting. For the student to come up to this particular painting, if you notice the process of it is where the entire like learning, a kind of like journey is being taken place. And here, when I say analysis of artwork, it will not stop there. The student will also formally analyze their own work based on the art elements. So these are few examples that I thought I would share it with you. I've taken too much time, so not able to share much of the resources. But this is one of my own assessment comment that I've given to the student. You can see how detailed and specific I have added the feedback for the student. So when we give any feedback to the students, we should be focusing on the skills of the student as to what they've acquired and also applied in the task, and what is the thought process that has also gone into it. You can take a screenshot of it. When we give feedback to the students, we can keep all these in mind. Okay, so question and answer. If you have any questions, stop sharing. Any questions, or was I too fast?
Thank you so
The
much.
presentation can be shared with you.
Thank you so much. This is an amazing presentation. Thank you so much for sharing your students' work. Uh, are there any question answers? I mean, questions. Are there any questions and queries? Please do unmute and share. Okay. If not, as it is our final session, can we all turn on our camera and we take a photo for our documentation from our side? For a few minutes, can we turn on our camera? Dear participants, kindly keep your cameras on for a few seconds, few minutes. Our team is taking photographs for our documentation. All right. So now I ask Professor Prakash to proceed with vote of thanks. Yeah, feedbacks. Feedback will be shared right in few seconds on the chat. Kindly fill in the form. Yes, Professor Tamil share the feedback link. Since it is the last, a lot of questions can be as painful. This is mandatory for uh, all the participants. On behalf of all participants, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to Mrs. Jennifer for sharing your invaluable insights on developing pedagogy for practical courses such as design and fine arts during today's faculty development program. Your expertise has truly inspired us to enhance our teaching practices. And we also extended our appreciation to technical team, Mr. Haris, Bhaskar, and Mr. Albert. And to all participants, thank you for your activity, involvement, and enthusiasm throughout this journey. Your engagement has enriched our discussion and created collaborative atmosphere that will carry forward to in our teaching practices. Thank you once again and look forward to see how we all implement that we learned in the coming days. Thank you all. Since it's the last day, uh, we want to know if there is anything that you would like to share, any proposal, any suggestion for future FTP faculty development program. Do let us know. Uh, we have also asked in our Google form if there is any department, other colleges would like to collaborate with us. Please do let us know. Please do let us know, and we are happy to collaborate with you all. Thank you so much. So we'll wrap it up. Thank you. See you all. In uh, in 5 working days, we will share the participant certificate. Thank you.